ASP Russell joins me for the latest installment of Police and You. Of course, let me extend Independence greetings to you, Officer Russell, to you, of course, the top brass of the TTPS and all your colleagues, man. It's going to be a great weekend without a parade, but nonetheless a great weekend.
Well, first of all, let me say good morning to Trinidad and Tobago on behalf of the Commissioner, the Deputy Commissioners, 1st and 2nd Division Officers of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, and happy 63rd Independence to Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah.
We know that my lovely public will have some behavior this weekend. It's a long weekend with pay.
Yeah, it's true. Monday is a holiday, so you don't want to be in any kind of...
I am asking Trinidad and Tobago to be responsible.
Yeah, of course. Well said. You know, I want to get into our talking point, but before we touch on the online scams, which is something I know you always give us advice on, what's the latest when it comes to that conversation? I saw some of the top brass, the Deputy Commissioner, across the road last week, speaking with ministry officials concerning police presence in the schools. It seems like they're going full speed ahead. It's one I'm actually in favor of, because I think, you know, with what we have seen with the school violence, that presence might indeed be a deterrent. The question is, are they going to be armed? Is that conversation, is there a final decision in that regard in terms of officers going into the schools? Is it just walkie-talkie and handcuff, or full belt?
Well, I can't say if they will be armed or not. However, what I can say, taking into consideration that it is a school, I would want to believe the officers will not be armed, and it would be more or less a presence. And an immediate intervention in situations where persons may want to engage in illegal activities or even fights. Because we know this has been a problem plaguing our schools. It would be presence and immediate intervention. And I believe, because we could still save the youth, I am of the opinion, if once Trinidad and Tobago, everybody takes that responsibility just to tell a youth, behave yourself, don't do that. Get in a maxi and go home, please. You know, and we really started looking out for each other. We could fix it. We could bring it back.
Well, that's what I remember, because Officer Shabadi, when he came to our school, he wasn't a permanent fixture, but he came in to give a lecture.
Definitely.
And he impacted us so much. Impacted me. I joined the St. James Police Youth Club immediately, and there were young men who were kind of on a shaky path who made a 180 immediately after Shabadi's intervention. So that's why I know the impact of the officers. It wouldn't just be there to stand up like a strong man. I'm thinking is to get the officers integrated into the school system so that they could probably have little lectures with the students. But I'm getting the impression, based on what the Deputy Commissioner said, he said that he wants his officers to be equipped with all their necessary tools of engagement. So I think they might be going in. I get the feeling, and I guess we'll find out when school opens, if indeed they'll be armed or not. But the presence is there for the schools that are deemed high risk.
Well, necessary equipment would mean your bulletproof vests, your tasers, your walkie-talkie. I don't foresee where we would have to use lethal force in the school.
No, I don't think you'll have to use it per se, but I think obviously having, you know, I think that for some reason, the presence of it creates a certain, again, there's a difference between if you stop someone as opposed to, let's say, a traffic warden. You are armed, the traffic warden is not, and I've seen people challenge the traffic warden. Well, it's at their detriment, obviously, because the traffic wardens are protected.
And always supported by the police.
Indeed. But there are people who give the traffic, as a matter of fact, they're giving police lip, who coming in with their arms, so furthermore, a traffic warden who is just holding a walkie-talkie.
But then let me give you another dimension of it, because remember, school is a well-populated place with hundreds of thousands of students and teachers. And if at times we go into crowded situations, like for Carnival, we would want to restrict or manage the use of firearms because we are dealing with a crowded event. You know, we would dictate who have firearms or not. Maybe the response team may have firearms, but the persons in the actual school may not be armed. But for quick response, should there be a need for someone with firearm, they would be readily available.
Let's see, look, I learned something this morning. So you're saying to me is it's not every scenario that an officer will be armed?
An officer would be armed. For instance, sometimes for carnival duties, sometimes going into a crowded fete. I mean, how could you really maneuver a firearm in a public fete? There are units like the Guard and Emergency Branch, the task forces that are trained for such. You would see we would put armed officers at strategic points where the monies are being collected and stuff like that. They may be the ones armed. But crowd control is crowd control, and we tend to limit the use.
And I see that's why I'm happy we have these open and frank discussions, because there's always a learning curve inside the police and youth segment. Let's move to the online scams. You always talk about this, people who see a deal that is too good to be true and they want to, I guess in this time and you save a buck, you're telling yourself, boy, I catch them. You know, this looks like a good buy, a good purchase, and you end up in a monkey pants.
Well, we would have spoken at length over and over numerous times, and we will continue to speak. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service is a responsible organization who care about the population of Trinidad and Tobago, and we will continue to speak to the public until they listen, until there's a positive correlation between our conversations and indeed see a reduction in these things. Persons are still going to ATMs all hours of the morning. We ask that they limit that use of that ATM and use it more or less in the day. Persons are still putting monies into accounts for items that they have not seen or may have only seen a picture of. Imagine you are going to buy an animal, a dog, and you haven't seen the dog, all you see is a picture. You don't know if it's from AI, if it's from YouTube, if it's from wherever. You don't even know if the dog is alive. However, you place that money into someone's account, and then to retrieve that money, because the bank has their processes, so it takes a while. Maybe we need to have a little more collaboration with the banking and financial institutions of Trinidad and Tobago so that there could be a very close synergism that we could deal with these offenses quicker. They take a length of time because of what is involved. You have to contact the cybercrime, you have to go to the bank, and it's under the Computer Misuse Act. And then we look at the larceny aspect of it. Persons are still going into business places Friday evening with a check, and business persons are still accepting these things. People are still having messages come to the phone. No banking organization will ask you to input your password into anything. These phishing scams are continuing to take place, and sometimes you see a rise in them, especially now where a lot of persons have the ability to open a bank account online.
And you think some of these some of the crimes that happen, I wonder if you will ever truly know the extent to the actual number, because sometimes people feel embarrassed, It's almost like you're getting robbed by a ghost. You don't know. This person robbing you from a distance, there's a digital robbery.
Right, but what I want Trinidad and Tobago to understand is that what is not measured does not get done. So we need you to report it, so we would know, so we could educate others, so other persons would not fall victims to the same scheme. So we would encourage you to report it, and if you report it, we could indeed help you. It may take some time, because we understand how crime is. Fraud Squad has their fill, cybercrime has their fill. The entire organization have their fill of what they are dealing with at the point in time. But we want to encourage the public to report it, but you have to do that due diligence, Mr. Williams. I mean, we go on Amazon to buy things, and you would check to see the reviews. We could do the same.
Yeah.
Here, ask persons you ever purchased from that persons, go onto the page, just take a little extra 15, 20 minutes to do your due diligence. Some persons are asking females to advertise, and you may feel, okay, as a female, it'll be okay. And then when they show up to do it, whatever exchange, is males coming out with firearms to rob you. We would have encouraged persons to come to the stations, use lighted areas, come to places where you feel safe. Anytime you tell a person, let's do an exchange in the police station, and they don't want to come immediately,
red flag.
That should raise a red flag.
Yeah. So you're saying the fraud squad and the cyber unit, those entities are the ones responsible for treating with any kind of online scam and phishing issue?
In the most part, but even the station would also do their own investigation when you look at it, depending on the quantum. Once it's under $50,000, we try to have it at a station level. And there's a lot of documentation, a lot of investigative techniques that goes into fraud offenses. So if they are more or less offenses that take time, it would not be solved over time because the bank have their regulations that we have to comply with. What I could probably throw out is that the banking institutions, all financial institutions, have a sit and greet with the top brass of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, as well as those in charge of fraud squad and cybercrime, to see how we could go forward. So once we provide like a bona fide report, a proof of a report, we could show persons that this is what is going on here, and we could have the process sped up.
Officer Russell, are there empiricals on the detection rate? Is the detection rate, based on your knowledge, a high one when it comes to cybercrimes?
I would not want here to sit, I don't want to sit and guesstimate. But what I can tell you is, outside of under-reporting, and I'll tell you something, Trinidad and Tobago have to understand, when we under-report or we fail to report a situation, we allow it to continue. Yes. And if I know I can do something and get away with it without any repercussions, then people will continue to do it. What I would want to say, I know it takes a lengthy time because of what is involved. Some persons do become disenchanted during the investigative process, and they may come and say things like, "Officer, I make my peace with that," yes. But then, are you being fair to yourself? What about the other unsuspecting persons?
Yeah, so you say follow through.
I would want to encourage the public to follow through. I mean, you are on your phone and you are seeing an email coming from a bank that you really don't recognize the email address. Call the bank. Go into the telephone book. Call the bank directly. Ask a question. Don't just input your passwords and input your information. And we have spoken about these things at length, but they continue to happen.
Well, again, in the minute that remains, a chance for you to just give us that reminder as to what is expected on this long Independence weekend.
Well, Trinidad and Tobago, I beg of you, please, have some behavior. Be responsible. It's a long weekend with pay. We know there's cricket. Please be safe. Please park in a safe area. Leave home with enough time that you could reach down here safely. We know there'll be traffic.
Yeah.
We would try our best to manage the traffic so that you don't become frustrated. We have had some consultations, some town meetings in the Western Division. The party boats that are going down to the Shakari and the Gaspre Islands, we are asking for some consideration for the residents that live there. The people with the shops in the area, La Hockett Valley Road, the Glencoe areas that are blasting the music all hours, we are asking for some consideration. We are asking you to just really think about your neighbors. You know, we have a lot of noise complaints, Jason. It's a long weekend. The police will definitely be out there. Do not drink and drive. Do not smoke and drive. Do not speed. Be careful, be aware, go out in groups and look out for each other.
ASP Russell, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for being here, and happy Independence to you.
Same to you.
That's right. We get ready for the 7 a.m. news update. Much more after 7.